Hey, Rod at East Coast Lumberjack. And we've always debated, I've seen it online 100 times. I've heard a lot of guys that make handles talk about it. Back when we were competing at Lumberjack sports for years, some guys would have handles made one way and some guys would have handles made the other way. And there was always the age-old debate, what's stronger? A handle made with a grain going with the eye or a handle with a grain going across the eye? Age-old debate. And I've seen it on Axe Junkies and Axe Addicts and people debating that all the time. So we're actually going to answer that question here. I've actually made some handles, some with the grain going across the eye, some with the grain going with the eye. Took them into the UNB Science and Technology Center in Fredericton here, where they do wood testing. And we actually answered the question once and for all: which handle's better? Which one's stronger? So we'll get to that eventually. But in order to actually address the issue of handle wood and what's the best wood, the best grain orientation, the best type of wood for the best application, we need to know a little bit more about wood and wood growth. So I'm going to do a 4-part series to actually give you a little bit more information, help us all understand why things work the way they do. We're going to do one on wood growth today. We're going to do another one on diffuse porous and ring porous hardwoods, the differences in what's best for what application. I think that'll help a lot of guys in ordering what type of handle for what application. The next one we're going to do is wood properties, strength, elasticity, tensile strength, all that kind of stuff, and how it affects the tool and, of course, the application as well. And then finally, the last one, the big grand finale, of course, is going to be showing you the different wood that we sent in, the handles, and how they made out when they were tested. So the first one here is on wood growth. And I graduated from UNB I'm a forestry graduate back in 1990. And I've also taught at a forestry college for 7 years. So I do know a little bit about wood and wood growth and wood properties, and I want to try to share some of that with you now. So one question I used to ask my students when I would have them either in college or usually in elementary school or when I went in to give presentations is I'd say, if you hang a horseshoe in a low branch on a tree when it's just small, how high will that horseshoe be in 10 years? And they scratch their heads, and even adults have said, gee, I don't know, 5 feet, 10 feet higher. And what the reason I ask that question is because it explains something about how little we understand about how a tree grows. So trees grow in 2 different directions. They grow up and they grow out. So when they grow up, the whole tree itself doesn't move up. So if you have a branch at this level, in a few years' time, it doesn't actually get higher. So the buds that form on the ends of the branches and at the top of the tree is where the growth originates. So there's a bud on the tree at the top. The next spring, that bud actually bursts and grows. And actually, this time of year right now, inside that bud is all the little leaves and twigs. It's all in that little bud if you dissected it, which we did back in college. And you'll see that everything's in there. And all it does in the spring of the year is burst and it elongates. So that grows up, and then the next year it forms another bud at the top. And then the next year it grows from there and it grows up again. So same as on the branches. So the tree grows out from the buds. And then, of course, as far as wood goes, the growth goes on the outside. So if you were to peel the bark off, where the bark, and usually when you peel it off in the spring of the year, you'll see there's a lot of water in there. It's quite wet. And that's because that's where the xylem and phloem is. And the xylem are their vessels that basically take the water and the nutrients up. Phloem is the vessels that bring the processed materials back down into the tree for growth. And it makes wood on the towards the inside of the tree, and also makes bark towards the outside of the tree. So the cambium is where all of that growth happens. And of course, a growth that throughout the year, spring and summer, as that tree's growing, it puts on one of these. It puts on a growth ring. And you can see here, the different growth rings. And all that happens right here in the cambium, which is the layer between the growth rings and the bark. So right in here. And that's where the wood grows every year. So wood grows to the inside, bark grows to the outside, and that's why I always tell you bark doesn't lie, because whatever's happened, if a twig falls off or a branch, right there, of course, within the cambium, it'll start growing and, of course, grow right out around that. And you'll see that the results of that in the bark and in the wood. So the other thing that happens is as the tree's growing throughout the growth season, in the spring of the year is when you get your most rapid growth. So there's lots of water and nutrients and everything. And of course, the growth then is really quickly. So the cells, the wood cells that are produced early in the season, are larger and thinner walled. And then as things slow down in the summer and early fall, the cells are thicker walled, and they're a lot tougher. So the amount of early wood and late wood in your wood that you have tells you a lot about the strength of the wood. So if there's a lot of big growth rings, that means that the wood's grown very quickly, a lot of wood growth. Eucalyptus, you'll see that a lot. They've got massive growth rings. Most of that is early wood growth, so it's the weaker cells. And then of course the late wood is darker, and it's a lot thicker, a lot stronger. So when you get trees like, we talk about black spruce all the time from Newfoundland, where they've got, 100 years worth of growth, the rings are about an inch, 100 years worth of growth. There's a lot of late wood in that, and of course it's a lot stronger wood. So that's how wood grows, and the amount of early wood and late wood tell us a fair bit about strength of the handle, and also grain and what the grain looks like. And I'll share that with you when we start talking about runout. And we talk about runout in a handle. Why is it good? Why is it not good? How much is tolerable? And I'm going to give you a little bit on that as well. So come again, join us next week. Subscribe to my channel here, my YouTube channel, because I'm going to have a series of 4 of these, and you won't want to miss the next few that are coming up. East Coast Lumberjack, signing off.